that you are meant to have. So today I'm bringing on two very inspirational people to me. They are Dahlia and James from Married to Health. They're both registered dietitian and they specialize in GI, SIBO, a lot of functional medicine as well, and nutrition. So I believe they're in the waiting room. I'm just going to bring them on. And this fun little setup is because they're also streaming. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, there we go.
Cool.
Let's see. Oh,
Awesome. So this fun setup is because they're also streaming on a lot of their platforms, pretty much all of their platforms as well. So
yes.
this is a new thing. Well, hello, James and Dahlia. Welcome. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having
Hi.
us.
Yes,
Hello.
thank you so much for having us. This is exciting.
I know, right?
Yes.
So before I get into the vegan meat of it, I'd actually like to just take a pause for us to really just be here, because we know that there's a lot of crazy stuff happening, especially, I mean, I don't want to name it, but like I've been frazzled all morning because of it. And I just think it would help all of us to just take a deep breath and really just arrive in this conversation. Just one more. Ooh, I like that audible exhale. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. And so for everybody here, I hope you got to take that deep breath and really just ground yourself. We're only going to be here for a little bit. So, the world is still out there, but we appreciate you just being here. So thank you both for doing this with me. And you two are, like I said earlier, very inspirational people to me. Sometimes when I make like nutrition or business decisions, I'm like, what would Dolly and James do? Like, what are they up
Oh
to?
man.
Yeah, it's awesome. Where I'm like, what kind of research are they going into? And so the first question that I'd like to ask for both of you as we go into this is, how do you know that you guys are both or together and separately living your purpose?
Oh man, that's such a great. Well, do you want to go first, ladies first?
I think I know that I'm living my purpose because even if I didn't have to work, even if, I could just live my life, I would still want to do this. It brings meaning to everything that I do. And, we have kind of a phrase that we like to keep us grounded of, is this research in action, right? Are we really showing people the how of what to do? And, we try to keep it real. We're a real family. We have a real marriage. We have a real company that we're running. We have a real daughter, and we really are in this plant-based lifestyle. And so in that, are we living that truth and executing that? And yeah, so it's just such an honor and just so amazing, and something that's just such a blessing to us to be able to say yes. And not only do we get to do it ourselves, we're sharing it with other people. So that's how I know that I'm living my purpose.
Yeah, and to add to that, I mean, I've always had the mindset. I mean, I am religious. I'm very spiritual, and I've always come from the mindset, like really, the purpose, at least of my life, and I think of our life, married together, fused as one. And really that's where the name comes from, Married to Health, like for our company and our private practice. But really the purpose is like helping others. Like really food is just the medium in which it's almost like our ministry, like our practice is food, where we see food as like nourishing, right? The physical body. We see food as nourishing, if you want to go even outside the economy, right? And creating jobs and creating, financial structure for people. We see food as also very spiritual, has so many different meanings, environmental, like the list can go on. And it's kind of centered around food and then everything that comes into food. I mean, again, it's like microbes and mental health and, nutrition and all that. And it's like food was just it just clicked. It was like, wow, like, yes, this is where God is speaking to me. This is where we feel we can make a difference in this world. And it is that. It's just that, like, how can we have the biggest impact and make a big difference? And it was just kind of using this food and this nutrition paradigm we're in, and kind of leading with that and going on that journey for sure.
Mhm. It's so beautiful. And I mean, I'm a registered dietitian too, so I totally feel that like food is everything.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you also encounter this in your counseling as well, but also in mine, it's like food is just a small part of the metaphorical plate. It's like,
Yeah.
what are
Yes.
your cultures? What are your customs? And how can we continue to infuse love and service through one thing that all of us need?
Mhm.
In addition to so many other things, but food is something that we do every single day, hopefully, like
Mhm.
multiple times a day for most people.
Yeah.
And just being able to provide love and service through this channel has been such a blessing, in my opinion, as well. And so I'm totally with you. And
Yeah.
so, have you always known that it was food, or is this something that you came to like in your adult years, or yeah, how did that come about?
Go for it.
I think we've had our own respective journeys with
Mhm.
it. They kind of have their parallels, but all are also quite separate. Where at an age where you're really expected to know yourself and find yourself and make really big decisions about your future, I was dealing with my own health issues. James was on his own journey, which you can speak to, but I didn't always know that it was food. I started out thinking, okay, I want to go into psychology, and I really am fascinated by that aspect. And I'm studying it simultaneously, really unpacking and understanding my own health issues and my own health journey. And I just took a nutrition course purely for myself. It had nothing to do with anything I wanted to pursue. And then it just hit me. It was like, oh, food psychology, and like really understanding how I got here myself of having all these health issues. I think food was a huge path to that, but also the mental aspect of why we eat, our motivation for eating, how we eat, how we cope, how we deal with all these different things. So I just saw food was this central place where all those things converged. And I just found it to be such an amazing avenue for that. And that's something that I've really incorporated into how I live my life, how we're raising our daughter, and just how I love to teach that to other people as well. So it wasn't always food, but now that we're in it, we've taken it to such a deeper level where it's not just like, here's a meal plan, right? I think most of us registered dietitians, or many of us, we really get that, where it's not just doling out meal plans. I've, had patients ask me, can you just give me a meal plan? And I'm like, you could have Googled that, but you came to me for a reason. So it's not just here, eat this. It's why are you eating the things that you've been eating? And, why is food holding this meaning to you? And let's really delve into it. And like you mentioned, all those different aspects and motivators for eating. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, to add to that, I mean, the journey of knowing, I think it was, I always knew I was on a journey, right? I always felt protected. That's something I reflect back on my life,
Mm.
because it's interesting. I don't always share this aspect of my life, but I've had many people who know my story be like, man, you're not supposed to be here, right?
Mhm.
And
Where
like,
did you come
like,
from?
where did you come from? Because I grew up in a very dysfunctional family, very abusive family, in a very abusive area. It wasn't the greatest neighborhood, and I'll shout it out. I mean, it's a great neighbor. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the city, but it's Baldwin Park. It's in LA.
I know
It's a
what you mean.
suburb outside of
Yeah.
LA, high gang activity. Some would use the phrase a ghetto, right? Like, that's where I grew up, and I grew up as a Hispanic American in the ghetto. But I had a great childhood overall. However, looking back of things that I thought were normal, like guns being held at me, and I was held at gunpoint multiple times. And but I don't know, I always felt so protected, which sounds so odd to say. And when I look back, and honestly, I look back and man, that was just God. And I was just on this journey. And through all the trauma and through all the struggle, it was just like almost like peeling back layers of like this awakening, right? I know a lot
Mm.
of people say this, it's like this awakening journey, but it's so, so true. And with every layer that was peeled, you just go, oh, wow. And you see more and more clearly, right? It's like going to the eye doctor and they're trying to find the right lens, and A or B, which one's better? It's like B, right? And that's literally like my life. And it started with, for me, it started with health. It was like, I can control this. Like, I grew up extremely unhealthy. And some of those lenses are like, oh, if you exercise, oh, wow, I can see a little more clearly. Oh, wow, if you eat better, oh, I can see a little more clearly. Oh, wow, getting closer with God, I can see things even more clearly. Finding your best friend and the love of your life. Oh, cool. And then it's just been constantly awakening and awakening and awakening, and looking back and you go, oh wow, like that's quite the journey. And so yeah, growing up in that area, it's like, wow, I wasn't supposed to be like a business owner and graduate college and do all this cool stuff. But again, it's just, I'm just serving a purpose, and I'm really just going down that path. And for me, I honestly feel like God is just guiding me on that path. And as long as I keep following and where I can keep awakening and awakening, I feel like I'm on the right path. So yeah.
I just love, so this is why I wanted to do this series so bad, is because I, one, admire both of your work, but just being in both of your energies and just the people that I've had on and that I plan on having on so far, I'm like, there's way more than the work that you present here. And I just want to get to know people. And I said this in my stories either yesterday or a couple days before, but in conversation, I'm very curious. I'm not like nosy, like I need to know your business and I'm going to
Mhm,
share it with the world, but I just love to get to know people through conversation. And
mhm,
this is exactly it. Like, I want to ask these questions, and I hear both of your stories, and I feel like, do any people who end up as dietitians even expect to be dietitians? Because I did not expect it either. It was just like, oh, all these things kind of just led me here. And it just makes sense because now, as I look back on the choices that I thought were random that I made, it actually paints a clear picture, and it all feels a little divinely led. Like, I'm supposed to be
Yes.
here having this conversation. I'm supposed to be, helping people figure out not what to eat specifically, but like, why aren't you eating what you know is good for you? And like, what's
mhm,
holding you back from feeling like you deserve to eat healthy or drink water or sleep at a decent
Mm,
time? And so all of these things kind of come together. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I didn't know that I was going to do this, but at the same time, I'm so grateful that I am.
And I truly feel like it makes it so much more impactful to others when you're doing it yourself, when you're learning things about your own coping mechanisms and habits, and, you're on your own path and your own journey of having that ability to have radical honesty, one with yourself, but then share that with others of, you know, we've realized like along our journeys of what food was to us growing up in our own respective environments and our own respective traumas that we both endured, and how food became such a
escape.
crutch and an escape.
Mhm,
Or even, as adults really learning like, okay, am I eating because I'm actually hungry, or am I eating because I have associated food with rest? And do I feel like I don't deserve rest unless I'm eating at the same time? And that's, again, you've gone through it, you recognize the patterns. And so I can bring that then to my clients and be like, can I ask you an honest question? After your kids go to bed, because I know how it is, and it's so quiet, it's
Mhm.
nice, no one's asking you for a thing. Are you eating because you're actually hungry at that point? Or are you eating because you have told yourself you are not worthy of rest? You are not allowed to rest unless you're doing something like eating. So it just enables you to have these really deep conversations with people and really connect on this deeper level.
Totally, totally. And like, food can be that gateway to helping you get to that deeper level with your clients. And do you feel like this kind of conversation is what your life has led to in terms of your purpose? If yes, then I'd love to hear more. But if not, then I'd love to know for both of you what you feel your passion and purpose is at this time.
Mhm.
yeah, no, I mean, I think we're all here and everyone's listening to this for a reason. I'm a big believer in, there's divinity in every single second of your life, like even the struggles, right? Even your lowest of lows is a testament to life showing you something. You're always looking for these clues. You're always looking for, and this isn't to not empathize with like the lowest of lows and sitting with that. And I've been learning to like sit with those, even the negative emotions, and understand them. But then kind of something flips where you got to make a decision, right? Are you going to learn from this lowest of lows? Are you going to elevate from this lowest of lows? What are you going to do with this? Because that in and of itself is a gift, and you have to decide, am I going to unwrap and use this gift, or am I not? And that's really the big question, because at least I believe everything is a gift, even the lowest of lows. So with that, you just take that, and then you start making decisions, right? Everything in life is a decision, whether you decide to use food as a coping mechanism or whether you don't, whether you decide to get out of bed and go exercise, or you decide to do some drugs and stay in bed, or these are very extreme things, but like everything is a decision. So, and I think no matter kind of what you do, something is guiding you, something is there is a universal energy, whether I call it God, you can call it something else, but there is this collective energy that is guiding you. But ultimately you do have that sovereignty, right? You are a free being making these decisions in this amazing world of energy, right? And so us being here talking, like you inviting us here, those of you listening, our patients, our interns watching, or anyone, like whoever's here, it's for a reason. If this is like touching your heart, I've seen some comments come in of like, if this is touching you, or you're feeling something, it's for a reason, it's for a purpose, and it's kind of like going with that, right? And continuing to follow that. But I don't know, or
And no, I feel like that's what's led us
yeah.
to the place that we are today, whether that's personally or professionally, or, even as parents. There's a level of vulnerability, and I'm sure you can
Mhm.
relate, right, to show up in this space. And I think for us, it's been really important to show up authentically. Like, I never want to be that person who only shows the best 2 seconds of my life. I want to show my messy kitchen. I want to show my daughter hated my healthy meal that I made. Like, I want to show all that because it's real. I
Yeah.
think with social media comes so much fakeness, or
Mhm.
just it's an abbreviated second of the day when, who knows, maybe the rest of the day was a complete disaster, but we only feel like it's presentable to show up here and only show your best. And so for us, that's been so important in this space. That's important to me in my work with people with gut issues, of letting go of that perception of perfection. It doesn't exist. So why are we all pretending like it does? That's been a huge driver for, again, us showing up in this space and what we do and how we seek to educate people of embrace the good and love the bad. After darkness comes light. And so it's really riding those waves and really letting yourself know, like, I've kind of taken this mantra on of, we will be okay because we've always been okay, right? So many times in
Mhm.
life things seem horrible, but you made it through those things, so you're going to make it through this one too.
Yes.
um
Yes. I think
so
about that a lot too. In yoga classes, something that I don't teach right now, but when I was, and I would bring people through like very difficult postures. I mean, it's not too difficult. It's just like a little uncomfortable to stay in plank for an extended period of time. But something that always came through was that I know you guys can do this because you've been through all the hardest times in your life. And so you'll be able to
Mhm.
get through this one moment. And I love how you touched on like there's no perfection. And I honestly feel like sometimes the idea and pursuit of perfection and constant happiness is what brings people stress in the first place. Like we have to be able to go with the ebbs and flows of life and also just accept like what is here and continue to also accept the invitation from divine guidance. And I love, James, that you said divine guidance because I've just been thinking about that so much. So recently I went to my fiance Luke and I went to Mexico to do some like wedding
Mhm.
planning stuff. And we could have missed our flights so many times for reasons
Mhm.
that are like outside of our control. And we just like made it every single time, like just barely. And one time we made it and then we almost missed it again just because there was a miscommunication. But then we
Mhm.
got on the plane and like towards the end of our trip, I was just thinking about how divinely guided everything was, from like barely
Mm.
making it to the airport to like almost missing the shuttle because we went to the wrong bus station. And so those are like physical examples of pretty much the same thing. You know, we could
Mm.
maybe think that we're not going to go to school and then we end up graduating with honors, or we think
Mhm.
that we're going to always stay in the same neighborhood that we've lived in and then we end up living somewhere else with our best friends, love of our
Mm.
lives, and starting a business together. And so, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, I was just saying, yeah. But no, I love that. Yeah. And you know what? But I was thinking of something while you're saying that is,
Mhm.
for me, a lot of this started with busting my knee, just as an example of divine guidance, right? I remember I busted my knee so bad in high school playing football. Like I was doing so well in football, and I thought, oh, and like, but looking back, like how I was never gonna be in the NFL or anything. Like I'm 5'9" and like maybe by like some miracle, right? But it's like I was doing well in football in Baldwin Park, and but like great. But I busted my knee so badly, and I thought the end of the world, right? Like something so horrible. I've had like 2 knee surgeries on it back, a long time ago. But like from that, it took me on a path of like of the health journey, right? Even more so because I wanted to fix my knee. I wanted to learn like how do I heal my knee or how do I make it better? And I found physical therapy, and then from physical therapy, I found nutrition, and I got deeper and deeper. And how something that seemed so horrible at the time, I looking back, you just see it so clearly of like, thank God I busted my knee, because maybe I would have kept going with football and been around the wrong crowd and the wrong people in the wrong area. But it's like looking back, it's like that wouldn't have happened. I feel like it's almost a magnet. You're drawn to the right place you should be more so than you're drawn
Mhm.
away from it, right? It's just depending how much you want to fight it, right? Like how much do you want to fight where you should be? And that's how it feels looking back. But like you're saying, it's like that divine guidance, whether it's catching a flight or realizing, wow, even that bad stuff got me to the good stuff. And it's just interesting to look back on that.
But it also puts into light perspective, right? Because
Yeah.
you saw it as a divinely guided day where
Mhm.
you almost missed all your flights, but you didn't. And someone else could have
Mhm.
seen that as the worst day ever. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I almost missed all my flights. And
That's
it was the
true.
worst, most stressful day ever. But that's not what you chose to dwell on. You
Mhm.
chose to see it as the perfect day because you didn't miss any of your flights. So
Yeah.
I think it really is also that outlook that you take on things, because you can, like James said, it's all about those choices and that perspective that you choose. And it really is a choice to say, this is the best thing that could have happened to me, or this is the worst. So I'm going to wallow in it. And, our yoga teacher always talks about equanimity, of just
Yes.
non-judgmental observation of things
Mhm.
and non-reactive observation. And I think that's a word also that kind of grounds me, of like, just keep in mind that equanimity of allowing these waves to wash over you without just completely being pummeled by them and tumbling with them.
And there's many examples of that in religion and spirit. I mean, in Christianity. So like whether it's the parables or in other religions where it's basically like, is it good or bad? And we go, it is, right? Why does it have to
Mhm.
be good or bad? And there's many stories
Yeah.
on that, but like the idea of it is, and going with that and seeing what'll happen. And something you think is good, you go, oh no, now it's bad. And then it becomes good. And then at the end of the day, what is it? And the balance, what if it's equally 10 good and 10 bad? What does that mean it is? Like
Mhm.
it just becomes is, right? And so it's understanding that, and it really conserves, yeah, it conserves the perspective, and it conserves that energy where you're going, yeah, it's good, and then oh, it's bad, and then yeah, it's good. And it's like, how much energy are you spending on all of that? Like, you could put that energy elsewhere and just accept. And that's been huge, like instrumental in our practice of life in general,
Oh,
big time.
totally. It sounds like it has to be, right? And it sounds so useful, especially being in a marriage with a kid and social media and then having a successful business and like that mindset. Dahlia, like I didn't even think about the fact that like actually I had to sprint across an airport and like I actually did have time to board the plane and I just sprinted for nothing. I could have thought like, wow, that was so dumb and useless. But I was just like, this is so cool. I've never done that like end-to-end airport terminal sprint before, and that was so like it was like 3 o'clock in the morning in my circadian time, but like wow, that was so interesting to do, and I didn't even think about having that. Like I just had that mindset instead of like, oh man, that sucked, and now I'm going to be sore for the next couple days. And I think that that comes with a lot of practice. Yoga's definitely helped,
Mhm.
but some people here who are watching right now or watching the replay, they might be watching this and think like, oh yeah, this is great, but like I'm never going to get to that point. Or like something, I just busted my knee and now like I'm not going to be able to play in the NFL. For the people who are in their lows or a low in their life right now and haven't quite yet instilled that it is what it is and just going through the motions type of mindset, what words or advice do you have to offer to them?
Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is like wait and see. It's
Mm.
I would say almost flip it the perspective of an exciting like let's wait and see. Like be excited about what is. I mean, I remember as a kid always being excited about the unknown, whether it was somewhere new we're going or some some new gift on the holiday. Gifts were a big thing in my household of like, oh, you get gifts for your birthday and gifts for that. But it's exciting. It's more the unknown of like, ooh, what am I gonna get? But
Mm.
also where am I gonna go? And then even with like a new grade in school, ooh, what new people or what new things are you gonna learn? And applying that to your life now of like wait and see. I mean, yes, this looks bad, but how exciting is it that you don't know what's up ahead and you get to find that out? Like that's part of the beauty of life. And it is kind of reframing that. And as you practice that and as you build that, I know for us, like when we build new projects or new collaborations or we're like building our practice, it's exciting because we go, oh, we can't wait till this is done or this is like coming and oh, this is going to be so fun and great. And that's exciting. And eventually you get in that flow, you get in that rhythm. I don't know, that's what came to mind, but
Yeah.
So
anything to,
practicing, it's a practice for sure.
yeah,
Mhm.
totally.
And I think it's a really working on regrounding yourself and
Mhm.
remembering you cannot control others. You cannot control situations around you, and really what you can control is how you allow yourself to react to something. So, really asking yourself, what would have been different? What will be different if I'm having this woe is me attitude about this? Is this
Mhm.
going to change anything? Is this going to change
Mm.
anyone around me? Is this
Right.
going to change the outcome of whatever happened? If not, you're expending the energy, but it's not a good return on investment, right? You're not getting that good
Mhm.
ROI. So, again, just reminding yourself our human bodies are, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, we are made to survive.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
like I was mentioning before, even on your worst day where you think, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, there will be a day after, hopefully for most people. Um, there will be a day after. And you look back and you say, okay, I survived that. And I will continue to survive these things. And I will continue to grow through. I know it sounds cheesy, but it truly is. It's like you can choose to grow through what you go through, or you can choose to let it harden you and just let it turn you into somebody who's cynical. So I think it's really taking that and remembering how powerful you are. You have so
Mm.
much power in choosing to say, okay, what is, and I'm going to just control the way that I see things.
And
And
just to
that's,
add something really quickly to that, because you might be like, I'm doing that, I'm doing that, but something like, and it's still maybe there's some frustration, but it's also again going back to this perspective of what is the goal you're chasing. And this is something we share like with our team and our interns and everyone is like the definition of success. Your definition may be
mm,
misguided, right? So you're doing all these things, maybe you're mindful and you're like, I know I can do it, I know I can do it, but maybe your goal is a little bit off where like for us, success isn't just financial. It's not like we're going to have the biggest practice and we're going to make lots of money and we're going to do this and that with money and crypto and whatever. It's like no, it's the definition of success is like we get to practice yoga or do exercise daily. We get to pray and
Mm.
meditate daily. We get to be with each other every day. We get to be there for our daughter, whether that's like, I don't know, whatever it is. We had like
Dinner,
field
family
days and
dinners
family
together,
dinners, and then
Karate.
weekend. Yeah.
karate, like all these great things. Like that is right up there with if we won like $1 million or something, like they're equal, because that is like our big picture of success, is doing all these things. And great, yeah, sure, we make money and we're able to provide for our family. That's important. But that is our definition. So when we put that as our goal, it shifts things. It's like, whoa, and you're more appreciative of maybe things you don't realize are successes in your life. And it totally opens up a whole new world.
It does. And I feel like that's when people get the most overwhelmed, because they're going by someone else's compass of what success looks like, whether that's for their nutrition, their health, their physique, their career, their success, their happiness. I think when you're using somebody else's barometer, it's easy to feel like, oh, I'm not making this level of success that I thought I would, but that might not be for you. So it's really evaluating, whose measure am I using, and what does success look like to me?
Yeah.
And starting to then tap into your intuition of when something doesn't feel right to you, do you trust yourself enough to say full stop? Whether in your mind this was the right thing for you and you needed to partner with this person, or you needed to pursue this career opportunity, or you needed to eat this certain way, or you needed to do this thing. Are you able to check in with yourself and ask yourself, am I seeing the red flags? Like if I'm eating in a certain way and I'm, nearly passing out all the time, or, if I'm working out so hard that I can't recover for days, or whatever it is, am I intentionally kind of covering my eyes to the red flags, and am I looking the other way? And so it's kind of asking yourself, like, what does success mean to me? And how do I pursue that? How do I tap into that intuition? How do I listen to that own inner voice where I know I'm successful based on what I perceive to have as success?
Totally. And that success is so individualized. And this is an exercise that I walk my coaching clients through now, so that they can have like a big picture of their life, and like maybe figure out what their purpose might be, is to kind of dream up, what do you want your day to look like, specifically you, and not by anybody else's rules or anybody else's expectations. And so often, they'd stop and be like, well, that's not realistic, or that's not what I was planning on doing. And I'm just there to like support them and remind them, like, it's just whatever you want. And there's something healing about being able to identify what success, purpose, your passion looks like for your own life. And I mean, I heard a bit about your healing journey, Dahlia, and your success story, James. But I'd love to know, for both of you, how knowing and truly living in this passion, or in this purpose, of helping people, really holding space for what I'm hearing and collecting from this conversation is like their spirit to like just be and to like do what it needs to do in this world, with the help of eating healthy and like knowing the right foods to eat, and knowing how to phase out or phase back in specific vegetables. What has knowing what to do with your career and your life, and how to help other people in this world, like how has that served you specifically in your health, in your relationships, and anything else that might have been influenced by that?
I love that question. I think on so many levels it has, but I'll speak first as a mom, because I feel like we all wear so many hats, but to me, that is the most important hat that I wear. There is literally nothing more important to me in this world than my mom job. And so am I choosing a path? Am I really living in a way that will help my daughter be her best self? I truly feel like some of my core beliefs are know better, do better. And so if I know better, and I have both just worldly knowledge and also just scientific literature and formal education, I am going to know better, and I'm really going to want to do better for me. So that way I can be my best me for me first, but then also be my best me for my family, right? My daughter, my husband, my every other person that I serve. But I really think that that's been kind of something that's been so important and such a check. Kids are so radically honest in all the best ways, because you will literally see the best in you in your children and the worst in you. And whether they're your kids or not, kids you're around, kids you caretake for, your nieces, nephews, neighbors, they absorb, they are sponges. And so it's a really good gut check to be around kids, because you'll be like, who taught you that limiting self-belief? I heard you say that. Who taught you to have that relationship with food and emotionally eat? I saw you doing it, right? I think so many of us can tap into that from our own families, whether that was our parents, siblings, caregivers. So much of it we can distinctly pinpoint. I observed this, I witnessed this, I felt this, and I absorbed this. So for me, I think that is my most important focus, is making sure that I'm wearing that hat well and checking myself, so that way I'm my best self as a mom, and then it trickles into every other avenue of my life as a person myself, as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, as a dietitian, as a sister, as a daughter, just everything. I think
The whole list.
Yes, do I know better? Am I doing better for those around me?
Yeah. If I would just add to that, I mean, just really quickly, one thing, without even knowing it, I think early on, we just aligned our career with our life in a way. And like, we didn't know for better or for worse. I mean, there's some days where it's like, it's hectic and it's crazy. We won't pretend. Like Dahlia said, we do like to be honest with that. Like, being married to your business partner is not for the weak soul or the weak mind or the weak of heart. It's definitely an added challenge. It's a whole nother layer, but there's also beauty. As much challenge, there is as much love and beauty to it. And we've really aligned our life with our values, with our business, because our business is our values. And it's this beautiful, like, synchronicity, right? It's just a beautiful synergy happening where, like, we are who we are and we're doing what we do, and it just so happens that it's our career and it's our practice and it's our family and it's our meal times and so it aligns so well, and that's been such a blessing for us. Yeah.
Amazing. An affirmation / goal that I've been just repeating to myself in my head and silently, and I feel like it really relates to this as well, is that I just want to be paid for being myself, whatever that means. And honestly, being myself is really doing a lot of stuff. It's like having conversations like this, it's having discovery calls with clients, it's guiding people through how to take care of themselves or work through their limiting beliefs. It's also showing up for myself and being honest about how my day is going, and all these things. Like, this is all part of me, and it's just me in alignment, really living what I feel in my body is my purpose, and these are the things that I want to get paid for. And I see that so much in the words and stories that you both have been sharing with me so far, is that you're really just here, you're just doing your thing, and it just so happens to support your lifestyle. And so it's just like a never ending cycle you're feeding into, simply by being aligned and trusting your actions and trusting the next step, not knowing what that full picture might look like at the end of it.
Totally agree. Yep. I love that affirmation. That's a good one. That's great. Yeah, just
Thank
be
you.
yourself. I think people are craving that. Like, we just want to be ourselves, be honest, be genuine, be ethical, be caring and loving. Like, we need this so badly, and that's what we really strive to do. We're not trying to sell you something or trick you or con you. I mean, there's so many people out there like that, unfortunately. But but that's not to say, again, they have their own struggle, their own trauma, but it's being different, right? It's being yourself, being genuine. And I think I love that.
Validating others in their belief that they can do that too. So it's just, you're brave enough to show it and share it and show the ups I think they're all ups. You know, even the downs are ups because you learn from them and they
I say
propel you
that
even higher.
too. I'm like, even their steps backwards are steps forwards. You just don't know it yet.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Ah, this is so wonderful. And I have two things left that I would like to ask you both.
Yeah.
The first one is, for people who are here who don't already follow you or know about you both and the work that you do, could you share a little bit more about the way that you share your offerings and the way that you share love into the world?
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Share love into the world. So we have a practice, and that's one of the aspects of what we do. We have a practice married to health, and we have 5 amazing dietitians in our practice. We focus on plant-based nutrition. One of our dietitians specializes in eating disorders, another specializes in metabolic health, another in disease prevention and lifestyle optimization. I specialize personally in IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or just small intestinal microbial overgrowth, specifically for those who are plant-based. So I really saw that I wanted to love on those who were told the limiting belief that because they're plant-based, they couldn't heal their gut. They had to abandon their ethics, their lifestyle, their personal beliefs in order to heal their gut. And so I've taken that up as my mission in life to teach people how to literally heal with each meal and really know that your body wants to heal itself and still do that plant-based. So I see patients from all over the world. I am working on revamping our 100% plant-based SIBO IBS course, and that will be available at the end of the year. And then, yeah, we have other cool, fun things that James is conjuring up too.
Yeah.
The magician.
Conjuring that, speaking into his existence,
Yes.
and all that. Yeah, and then we're everywhere. I mean, if you're not following us, Married to Health everywhere. So we actually, I mean, on this topic, which is so cool, in July we're launching our vlog. Like we're doing like a vlog where you just get to see kind of more of our daily life, where we are a real family of health professionals. Get to see our 7-year-old daughter and what she eats and what we eat, and just kind of getting a further glimpse of our real life. And that's what we really want to show. Like, you can do this. You can be healthy. You can heal with each meal. You can overcome. And it doesn't have to be so complex. You don't have to become a 5-star plant-based chef to do it, right? Like you can do it even on a simple budget with a small amount of time, or if you're busy, all of that. So that's what we want to show. And yeah, lots of great things coming out. So yeah, marriedtohealth.com, Married to Health all over. If you want to connect with us, we would love that.
Yeah, and just really we're hitting that whole spectrum of plant-based gut health, whether that's kids prevention all the way up to those who already are experiencing gut issues, and really supporting those people who are dealing with that. So, yeah.
That's so amazing. So needed, especially within the plant-based community too. I know so many people who and I've also had clinical patients in the hospital who wanted to be vegan, but they couldn't because their doctor told him exactly what you just said. And it's so nice to see that there are people in this world who have made it their mission to empower other people to live by the way that they want to live, their morals and values and ethicals, and still feel supported through it all. So thank you for the offerings that you have and for doing the work yourselves and for being genuine and authentic to us, as well as the people watching and the replay and your community and my community. And so all the appreciation. And the last question and parting question that I would love to ask you both is any advice that you would have for somebody who's not, they feel like they don't have a purpose, or maybe having a purpose isn't for them.
I'll go first maybe with this one, unless you have something.
Sure,
But
go ahead.
I would say what you're gonna say, if you're looking, I think we tend to look outward, right? We're going what's my purpose? What should I do? And who should I follow? And I would say that's the number one sign to make yourself your purpose, right? That's the number one sign when you're I'm lost and I don't know. You're there, right? Like we forget ourselves, like you're not alone, like you're there. And then I would even add like God is there with you, or a divine energy is there with you, but maybe you're not there yet. So at least, hey, you're there. What about you? Talk to you. Look
Mhm.
inward, and let that be your purpose until you find the next step. That's what I would
Yes.
say.
Oh, I
Mhm.
love that.
Hmm.
I think it's asking yourself why you feel that way and what you feel is missing to provide purpose in your life, and try to connect with others who are maybe out there doing that thing. I think a lot of people feel like I have to start my own business and I have to do it all myself, or I don't personally have purpose. Joining other people's causes is purpose too. So if you have anything in you that, even having that sense of not feeling like you have purpose means you have purpose. If you didn't, you would kind of just wishy-washy go with the flow, and that would be your purpose of just going with the flow, but you don't. You're questioning what that purpose is. So I think it's asking yourself, what do you feel like you're missing in your life where you don't feel like you have purpose? What could help further that along, and who else is currently doing it to either inspire you or for you to combine forces with?
Yes, totally. And so, if any of you are looking for somebody or people who are living their purpose, you could check out James and Dahlia. And you can also check out anybody else from this live series that I've done so far.
Mhm.
We'll all be happy to help you out. And so, James and Dahlia, I just want to say thank you so much again for being here, being yourselves, and also just being available to the people that you touch every single day. It's such an honor.
Likewise.
Thank you,
Thank
Amanda.
you. Thank you for being you. And thank you for creating this platform to speak on some of these things. It's so refreshing, and it's so nice to connect in this way and share this part of ourselves.
Thank you. It's been fun. I mean, I know that we know a lot about food already, so I'm like, what else can I get from James and Dahlia? And I'm
Yes.
like so pleasantly surprised. So
Yeah,
this
there's
has been
things I don't
wonderful.
think I've shared anywhere else
Ooh,
except here. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a whole nother side of the usual like interviews or like discussions we have. So I love it.
Totally.
It's great idea.
Love
yes.
this.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
So thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you in the next show. I can't believe I'm saying that. But okay,
Yes.
bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.